Yeah, so I was in fifth grade when 9/11 happened. I remember it really well because I went to school late that day. And so my dad and I had the news on or whatever. And one of the Twin Towers was, burning. And, the scroller on the TV said, tragic accident in New York. And then I was actually watching the footage, the live feed, when the second plane flew into the tower. And that caption, I remember it changing almost immediately from accident to attack. And for whatever reason, that's something that stuck with me throughout the rest of my school days. And one of the big reasons that I decided to join the Marine Corps is I knew that if I wanted my kids and their kids and their kids to have the same opportunities that I had, something like that couldn't happen again. And I wanted to be part of something that prevented that. My grandfather was a Marine in World War II, and so that's another big factor, big reason as to why I chose the Marine Corps. Um, I served 10 years in the Marine Corps. I was medically retired for post traumatic stress. I deployed to Afghanistan twice, once in 2012, once in 2014. Um, 2012 is when I saw most of the combat, and what I can now trace my PTSD to is things that happened during that deployment. And so I was with a number of different units when I was in the Marine Corps. I was with 1st Battalion, 8th Marines, 1st Battalion, 2nd Marines. Went on recruiting duty for 3 years in Green Bay, and then I was with 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines. We were getting ready to deploy. Well, we're going to go on the 31st MEU Marine Expeditionary Unit. So you fly over to Okinawa, Japan, kind of get settled there before you get on a ship and start sailing around, your area of operation, which I was looking forward to stopping in Australia, but I decided to pop smoke before I even got on the boat to get some mental health help. So I was flown back from Okinawa to Camp Pendleton, started undergoing some psychotherapy, got put on some meds, and things were not going great. I had finally put my finger on, something's wrong. I got a DUI when I returned to California, which didn't help much of anything. But I was able to start to kind of unravel what was going on, peel back some layers, figure out what it was that was causing me to react the way that I was to certain things. So right after I got out, I started working at Shields in Eden Prairie. It was still a relatively new store at the time. I figured I love being outside. I love doing the things that Shields sells products for, so why not? But it is a stark contrast going from, being a platoon sergeant and responsible for 80 some odd Marines to now I'm responsible for making sure, shelves are stocked and storage areas are neatly maintained, which, was fine. I was good at it. But I started to notice little things would really get under my skin. Whereas if somebody would pick an online order from, my shelf on the floor instead of going to the back and grabbing it from the storage area, or something as simple as, not having label facing the right way to create a nice display, it would really, get under my skin. And I remember I made a comment one time about how if this certain person did something again, the retaliation that I would take, which was very, very mild in the Marine Corps, but the look on my coworker's face was like he was appalled. It was the worst thing he'd ever heard somebody wanted to do to somebody. Yeah, I that's those are the things that really made me notice that I was no longer in the Marine Corps anymore. Um, And then ETS, right? So again, in 2019, I received that DUI, and then again in 2020, I had another alcohol-related incident that had me charged with a felony offense. And I went through Hennepin County Veterans Court, which is kind of a diversion program. It's a treatment court, making sure that you're getting all the things that you need treatment-wise, support-wise. Um, yeah, so and accepted into Hennepin County Veterans Court. Was doing good things in there, getting some programming that was incredibly beneficial. Getting a lot of support from both my probation officer, the Veterans Justice officer, just getting linked up with different things in the VA that I never knew existed, but I'm really thankful that I went through. And I was finally getting to a place where I was like, you know what, it's time to give back, right? I'm in a position now where I have been helped so much. What can I do to help others? And my mom had just clipped an article out of the Star Tribune and was like, hey, why don't you check out this organization? They're veteran support organization. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I think I will. And I was downtown and I was talking to my probation officer. I was like, hey, I think I'm going to start volunteering at this place to give back. I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot. And he's like, well, you know what? Funny enough, I just talked to somebody from there. He was talking about this program called Warriors Return, and it's basically all downhill from there. No, so I called John, who's the program director, and he and I hit it off right away. The things that he was saying was speaking directly to what was missing for me, and as soon as I walked in to the old building, the old classroom, on the first day, and I met Tom and Jesse and John in person, I knew this was home. This was where I was supposed to be. I actually have a 3-point process now for how life can be easy as pie. PIE, purpose, intent, and endurance. And it was while I was in Warriors Path that I realized what my purpose was, and that's to help any veteran struggle even an ounce less than I did. And through graduating Warriors Return and being brought on staff at ETS, I get to live that purpose. I get to live my dream every single day. Every veteran that walks in the door, I just start having a conversation with them, and trying to figure out who they are, where they're coming from, what kinds of things they need. If all I can do for them in that particular time is just be an ear for them to bend, awesome. If I can help point them in the direction of different services and resources, even better. If there's something we can do in-house, because that's what it's really all about, right? It's about community. And that's plastered over the wall that you see when you come in here to ETS, is we believe there's no better medicine than being in community with other veterans and their families, serving a purpose greater than ourselves. And the old adage is, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I haven't worked a day in the last 2 years.